Welcome to Triple Blockheads.
Back set, block down.
The podcast for all things volleyball.
Blockhead.
And aloha and welcome everybody to another episode of Triple Blockheads. Makani, Frank, Mark, and we are going to talk a little bit today about just a variety of camps that are there and offered to our young athletes, and talk a little about the why camps are important, why it can help your development, structure of the camp, what to look for, what not to look for, kind of running the gamut, both from a club side and also from a collegiate side. There's equal value in both, in maybe some different lenses. So we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. But Frank, just talk why. If I'm a young athlete, why should I go to camp?
Yeah, I think I have a couple questions for you guys too. Did you guys go to camps when you grew up?
I did, absolutely.
Like volleyball camps or?
All of the above, yeah.
Okay.
Multiple sports and church camp, all kinds of camps. But yeah.
I went to Missouri State volleyball camps growing up.
Oh, cool.
Every summer. I was the only boy there most times. So it was like me and 44 girls at elite camp or whatever.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah, interesting. Cool. I did like park camps.
Mm-hmm.
So like I joined, like it was easy for my parents to drop me off at the park and I would be there the whole week pretty much. And we'd have a different sport each week or something, which was cool. But never did a volleyball camp, never even did like a basketball camp where like it was programmed the way we see it on the club side or like the college side.
It's
now.
definitely evolved.
Right. That part's interesting. And then also, what makes a camp versus a clinic? Is it the time commitment or is it just the wording? Is there a difference? Is there a difference between a camp and a clinic?
Yes, from a compliance standpoint, there is a difference
that's interesting.
between a camp and a clinic. I don't know the specific parameters between which one, but I know there are date and time restrictions for when we can do a camp versus when we can do a clinic and what that looks like. So,
Interesting.
yes.
Very interesting.
What about for you? Do you classify them differently?
From like a time commitment
Yeah.
and like frequency, like days.
A click and a click. Did your
Clinics are short.
hard hitter?
Yeah, that's how I would view it. Yeah, but I think on the club side, again, every club is different. I think I say that about every topic we talk about with club. But for us, it's why are you offering something? Are you offering this camp because you want to encourage kids to attend tryouts? Is that the timing of it? Are you doing it because we have a certain guest in town? We want to take advantage of having that guest be able to help run a camp. You know, there's all sorts of different reasons to run a camp. So I think that's the big thing. What's the market like at that week or that time frame you're trying to do something, and then what's the emphasis? You know, are you going to cover all skills? Are you just going to take middle school kids? Is it just high school kids? Or so like what's the reasoning behind it? And like what are kids going to expect once they get there?
Mm-hmm.
As I think the two big differentiators for clubs.
And those are typically smaller camps. They're more, I would say, a targeted volleyball. You know what I mean? If you're going to a club camp specifically, you probably have some kind of stock in that club or in the area. You know what I mean? For us, we have a ton of camps, but we're one of the two largest state schools in the state. So this is like kind of what we have to do. So we see kids that are more volleyball focused, that want to really improve. We see kids that are just fans of Iowa State or parents are alums, so they come. We see just friend groups. Like I go to Des Moines, but me and my 10 friends all have started to kind of play volleyball. Let's go to Iowa State camp. You know what I mean? So we see a lot of different levels and a lot of different motivations through our camps, and we have a lot of different camp structures that allow for those types of motivations to flourish, I guess.
For sure.
I think it's also important to, like, I mean, because of those variants in different types of levels or different types of focuses, there's camps that are focused on just the, like, the player like empowerment and like the fun part of it, right?
Yeah.
And some that are more skill based, like specific and emphasizing really becoming a better at a higher level player. For the parents that are out there, ask the questions to whoever's running the club, whether it's someone in high school or club or collegiate. If it's not clear on the brochure or not clear on the website, just ask, because I think some of the pitfalls I see just around why I should go to camp, people stop going to camp because they went to the wrong camp.
Yeah.
And I think that's what no volleyhead wants at all. We want everyone to have a good experience and go to and be aligned in that.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I see the most are people coming to elite camp, or that they want to go to that high level camp, or their parents are like, oh, well, I think she could go to this camp. And then they're not ready, and then they have a terrible experience. Or they're like so undermatched for what's going on with the peers around them that they can't have a good experience. You know what I mean? And that does so much more damage to a kid than if they just go to a different camp and we can put them with their grade, but there's like the structure of that camp is set up to where a single kid doesn't need to rely on the peers to be better, worse, whatever. And then everyone can have a good experience.
Do you have kids that show up to camps like that who, like you said, are not maybe skill-wise ready, but they still just have their perspective that I'm going to be challenged and I want to gain something from that? Is there like some of that?
Sometimes.
Some of that the perspective of the athlete too?
I think yes, but I think they would have a better time and still be challenged. You know what I mean? Where I struggle is like, I've had a player email or a parent email and be like, she went to this camp last year and felt like she didn't learn anything.
Sure.
I'm like, okay. And then she's like, so we're going to come to elite camp this year. And then came and was in the bottom group, was by far the worst kid there.
Yeah.
Like, all right. So did she learn a lot from elite camp this time? No. Like maybe it's the situation and not what's being taught. Like, let's find the right level for that kid.
Yeah.
Like, you may want to get challenged, but if the skill level is so different, we're talking about potential health injury issues here too. I don't want you get injured because you're 4 nothing and there's a 6'3" girl. You know what I mean? So,
and I think that's important because, and I think this maybe that segments into just how coaches structure these camps, and I think it's really important too, right? Is that if you don't have a structure and you don't have an intent, it's hard for you to communicate which athletes should go to that camp.
Yep.
Which leads to more of those opportunities that we don't want to have. That the player or the athlete said, I didn't learn anything because it was over my head, or it was under, it was too easy, or it wasn't what I expected. So,
we have the same issues. Like, we have high school camps are just for high school kids, but we'll have really, they feel like they're skilled 8th graders who want to be challenged more, and they ask us, can we still attend this? And we say, yeah, as long as you understand that, like, you're going to be the youngest kid there, like, lay those expectations out up front if we get that question. And we want the kid in the gym, and if they want to be challenged and they understand that things are going to be hard, then and they're good with that, then cool, then we're all on the same page.
Yep. We have so many different camps that we have. So, like, as far as targeting specific skill, like we have position camps, we have camps geared for just little kids. You know what I mean? So we try and offer a camp for everyone at every skill level. Now, whether they sign up for that camp at that skill level is
for sure
not up to us at the end of the day, but we try and provide. And I think if you're at a big school and this is, you gotta cater to the community around you, kind of as you were mentioning.
Are there things that we can do who run camps? Or are there things that we can do better and description wise to be like, hey, if you want to play up, you want to be able to do this as a player?
So we have tried a number of different wordings in the description to, like, you need to these requirements to be at this camp. You know what I mean? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. People
Yeah,
don't read it
yeah.
or don't care. They're going to sign up.
Yeah.
One year at UCF when I was down there, we actually did a application process and would turn kids away, and it made our camp good, but for what? Like, to what end? You know what I mean? If we missed out on 60 kids that could have came to camp and wore UCF stuff,
right. 60 more fans in the stands.
Exactly.
Next fall,
As long as you're filtering them into the appropriate places they need to be.
Yeah. Like
what's the real
McConaughey
point?
said, it's about how the leadership of the camp can distinguish those situations.
For sure. So let's maybe bucket how we structure, because I think, to your point, there's so many different ways.
Yeah.
So team camp, let's kind of put that to the side. Let's just talk about individual camp. So let's talk about skill specific. So if it's a setter camp, or if it's a middle camp, or blocking camp, or a skill specific type of situation, what are some of the things that you are thinking about as a coach as you structure that day? Are we talking 2 days of blocking, or 2 days? You know what I mean? Like,
So all our position camps are one day, and I think that is appropriate. Back in the day, we used to run a sports performance setting camp that was like a 3-day marathon, 13 hours in the gym. Kids would bow out with their hands, and they prided themselves on I survived the world's hardest volleyball camp. They put that on their shirts and stuff. Cool, but not necessary or the
And
most
I have
productive.
arthritis.
Yeah, literally. They got excited by the number of kids that would be out because their hands hurt, and it's that doesn't feel like the right motivation to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if those camps still go on, and those kids definitely got better at setting. That's not what I'm trying to say, but there's probably a different way. So we are all one day, 9 to 4, 9 to 5, somewhere in there, breaks for lunch, but we try and go 2.5-hour sessions. I think the big thing with any position camp, if it's going to be one day, it's how can it be progressively trained, right? So you want to introduce skill, get some technical skill. All right, now it's a little bit more live in this setting, and now eventually, what's a live version of what we're able to do? How can I implement this into play in some fashion? So when you're at a position-specific camp, you got to get kind of creative when it gets to the play piece, because you got a room full of setters or a room full of liberos, right? We don't have all positions to do all things, and we will definitely encourage them, and volleyball's volleyball, and go play, but the forethought needs to be there to make sure that they're still getting the setting stuff that they want, right? Knowing that only one person on the court in that game is setting, right?
Well, I think that's why the full plan and the structure in a camp setting is so vitally important. You can adjust drills and things based on skill set and as they evolve, but the structure of it, I think, to your point. So, for example, you're a setting camp. They're going to have to serve. They're going to have to play right back defense.
Right.
And
you're not just setting the whole time.
You're integrating their positional skill set at the same time.
Absolutely.
What about, Frank, how that transitions to an all skills camp, and how does that differ relative to just
We used to do
focus and structure?
We used to do a lot of all skills camps. Our format was always 4-day, 5-day camps, all skills. Day 1's passing, day 2's setting, regardless of positions. You do all skills. And that catered to a certain part of our market. Kids that probably weren't club kids that were maybe interested in trying out, kids that were just getting into volleyball. They didn't know what they played yet. And that was great. That's a great touch point. But then by day 4, what we noticed for the club side is just kids are burnt out, there's just so many days, So we, for the most part, don't do 4-day camps anymore. If we do an all skills camp, it's 3 days at max. We'll do some 2-day ones, keep the commitment for the kid a little bit more relaxed so that they can still do multiple things that week. That is the trend in our area, multi-sport kids. We were in Iowa, so if you're doing a high school one, you got kids who are in season playing softball, very popular sport, especially in our area. We're battling a lot of things.
Sure.
If we do positional stuff, we call them rep sessions. So it's just an hour and a half commitment one day. You can sign up and bundle different rep sessions throughout the summer so you can save a little bit of money. That's how we'll
Bundle Ruski.
bundle Ruski. Yeah, I love that.
Bandaruski.
We are adding that. That's great. So we keep our summer stuff very flexible, so it fits kids' schedules, and we keep it pretty low commitment. And we are trying to find touch points for kids who are not club kids, and then we're trying to find touch points for our kids who are looking for a competitive day of volleyball. So that might be like a 6-on-6 wash clinic where all we're going to do is play sixes and just do wash drills, hour and a half. And when you come in, we're going to put you on certain courts based on if we know you, if you don't know you, we might move you around a little bit.
And those are like flex dates. You'll just
flex
be like,
dates.
Here,
Yeah.
this is a day where some people have shown interest. Let's do a clinic, whatever that day.
Yeah.
Of sixes.
Yeah, for sure.
What about from an all skills perspective? Do you also do skill breakouts as part of a multi-day all skills type of environment?
Yeah, ours is pretty similar to what Frank was saying there. Our all skills, we do a 3-day. It's our big one where they stay in the dorms and do all the stuff. So like that's like our main camp, 250, 300 kids, like massive. We do kind of skill by session, and then in day 2 is more combo skill things. But by the end of day 1, we try to have gotten through all of the primary skills, right? Primary skills. So day 2, we're into combo stuff, more gameplay, and then day 3 is a tournament style. You know what I mean? But all progressive based training, and slowly getting more game like as we go through that camp session.
And then during that day 2, do they self-select like, hey, I want to be a setter in these combo drills, or do you still encourage them to do multiple things?
We encourage them to do both, and by that point we have. So our all skills, we actually do a eval ranking in that very first session and spend a good amount of time getting them set into equal level team things where they can train with peers at a similar level as them. So that is not a perfect system by any means. It's also very time consuming and hard to do. If you can do it another way, I encourage you to. This is the best way that we've found recently.
I think it's the best way to maximize the people and the touches that you have as well. And speaking of, there's always the constraint on courts, right? Yeah. So I think what are some of the things that we can think about as coaches as we structure our camps that we would need to think about court size first, how many courts you have, how many half court sizes you have, maximizing those things, what size, how much the off space that you might have to also include skill development. Yep. Things like circuits and different stations.
Yep.
What's worked for you guys? Or what do you guys recommend?
Tell you what doesn't work. There's not a bigger pet peeve I have, besides some of the club etiquette stuff that we talked about. But then going into a gym and seeing long lines.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing worse than that. And maybe if you're, like, doing blocking, something really, like, tough, then it's okay to have maybe a little bit of flexibility in how long your line is. But in general, I think for most volleyball skills, how can you, as a lead coach of a camp, knowing your court space, like, how can you create drills that can continue on without kids having to wait in line?
Yeah, that's like one of my biggest pet peeves too. Is it's just you take a rep, it's 9-10 minutes. You take another rep, 3 minutes later, you take a rep. You had 3 reps in 17 minutes.
It's a great way to think about like what are the average number of touches on a ball?
Touches per minute.
Touches per minute. Yeah, that's a great ratio.
That's something that we talk about. It's like how can we maximize our touches per minute when we're talking about kids?
For sure.
I think the big thing is you got to know your max on a court, right? You have 4 courts. I know I can have X number of kids. We max at 18. We don't do more than 18 on a court unless we absolutely have to. If you are going to exceed that number, then I think you're probably leaning yourself into a stations-based camp, right? So if you exceed your court space, now we have to involve stations that are off court and still add value in whatever that is. And those could be dig move stuff, floor stuff, you know what I mean? Block moves on a wall. Like there's a lot of things you can do. We can definitely add a station, but if you're exceeding your court space or your court capacity, we got to come up with a way that it's still beneficial for everybody that's at that camp to rotate through the stations.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say, stations, is why I like it. It's easier for your coaches to coach effectively if they coach the same thing 4 times over, or how many times the stations rotate. Totally. You know what I mean? By that second, third time, they're better at introing the deal. They know what they're trying to get out of it, and they can run it effectively and have some ownership over that station. That station's theirs. And I'm for giving, especially inexperienced coaches, like, this is the thing that you're going to do. Own it. Go do it. You know what I mean? If it is where the same coach is coaching each drill and trying to intro and demo and explain each drill, if they don't have a good understanding, that can fall by the wayside sometimes. That being said, we don't do a ton of station stuff at Iowa State. It's mostly coach driven, but the camp plan comes from me. It's all typed up, give it to them. We have a coaches meeting. I explain every drill. I'll demo a couple of the main drills, and then they'll cycle through this list of 3 or 4, and then we'll come back together, demo this next skill, and maybe a couple drills they're going to do, and then go do it. So there's some back and forth to that, trying to make sure our coaches are educated in what they're doing. I also am not a fan of any camp that just says, all right, coach, you're working with them on passing. Ready, go. What? How, like, do I have one court? How many balls do I have? How many kids are going to be there? What is my time frame?
Right.
These are all great things to know right before I get onto this court, because whatever I come up with could be better if I was able to prep. That's life. You know what I mean? If a little bit of prep goes a long ways to make the quality of whatever you're doing a little bit better.
Yeah. I think just because you're not doing stations or a circuit where you're having kids rotate around the gym and multiple skills, I still think you can also utilize that same methodology on one court as, hey, there's a group that's passing, there's a group that's setting, there's a group that's shagging. And I think there's also value in an athlete doing one thing, right? And I see a lot of times walking to a camp, even if you're doing a drill and you hit and you shag, and then you come back and you give a ball or you toss a ball in, and then now you're doing 3 things. And like, how am I focusing on my development on the one thing that I'm actually wanting to develop on, right?
Yeah, I agree. The groups within your court, I like to operate on a 3-group thing. There's an action group, a shag group, and then a like rep practice, a mirror group, if you want. So if we're working on, let's say, some hitting stuff, some attack rhythm, approach stuff, that action group is going. Coach is probably tossing a ball, or players are tossing balls depending on the level. You have a shagging group, and then there's a group that's working on their approach at the end of the court with a coach. So I get some mere technical, just body rep stuff, and then I go action, and then I go shag, and that's how those groups will rotate from a 2-minute at a time, 3-minute, whatever, period. But I agree. I think there is something to, this is all I'm doing, so let me really focus on this thing that I'm doing, rather than where do I go next becomes the focus.
Right. Do you, with that being said too, there are times where let's say you only have 3 courts, but you are a high school coach and you really don't want to be turning people away, right? So you have 52 people max on the 18.
Yeah.
But I have 70 kids or 80 kids in my high school district that really want to go through. What are other ways you can create value in that multiple day camp or, day camp to also not create a detriment in the learning process?
Yeah. So I think something we did when I was at UCF, these were like These are just scale camps, right? UCF, we're the second biggest that I've worked, so I have a lot of experience in that space. But our all skills was waived. So you can essentially double up your max number of kids by waiving them on court, off court.
Yep.
Okay. So between those 3 courts, this group is on for an hour and a half. This group is off for an hour and a half. But you have to figure out what value are you adding with that off time. Okay. So you have to have a litany of team building stuff, some film stuff, some just like how are you continuing to add value. I think a great use of that off time, if you choose to waive, is put up a pro match and watch it, pause it, talk about it. These are things to look for when you're watching volleyball. I think viewership at a young age is growing, as Frank mentioned earlier, but how is it educated viewership, or are they just watching the ball do the ball things the whole time and like, ooh, they hit hard? It's like, well, how did they hit hard? Did you see their approach? Did you see what they did? You know what I mean? So educating the viewership piece of that's a bit of a side tangent, but the wave system is a good way to get around that. If you have limited court space, but a lot of people, you also need higher quality coaches that can alleviate that off time in a productive way.
Very John Kessel of me, I guess. But can you string? Shout out John Kessel, brilliant mind. Can you string like a net together? Can you add some sort of makeshift like string from the end of one pole to the wall or something like that, where maybe you can just do like not full court play, but maybe you can do like some block touching or
partner stuff. Or
you still have space. You don't need to necessarily have a court to be able to get those kids in, but maybe you make an extra rotation group where they're off, or 2 rotation groups, and now that's an extra 8 to 16 kids that you have that you can fit in the gym that can now rotate onto the courts as we progress.
Yeah, so if you run a bit of elastic or something perpendicular to your actual net, you create 6 courts at that point. And they're a little bit smaller, and you can't probably do as much live. But if you have young kids, that's more than enough space to get 4s or 5s or whatever you're trying to do. So you doubled your court space, and now that 70 doesn't feel like as astronomical as a number for those 3 courts.
Right. It's all being intentional, right? It's all being intentional what you want to do, and then being intentional what space you have, and then being creative and determining how best I could do. I'm a big believer on just the off court stuff in a camp is extremely valuable, and I a lot of times think it gets lost in the shuffle because I think parents and athletes are paying for the what they see as the value of the product,
right?
And they see a coach, and coaches have the skill set of understanding volleyball, and they should be coaching, and that's how I get my value. But they're also leaders and team builders, and they are life lessons, the IQ part of the game, the philanthropy part of it, being a good human being. Like, there's a lot of things you can bring in that an athlete may walk out and be like, volleyball has taught me all of these different things. And now I'm a more well-rounded human as well as a better volleyball player.
Throw on our last podcast. Let them learn about college recruiting.
Exactly. Use triple blockheads as part of your wave system.
I mean, we're on to something.
Well, we know what's going on at the Iowa Select camps this summer. I'm going to just put the podcast video.
I was just going to talk about how important. I was just going to talk about how fun music at camps are.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're going to play a podcast, no music probably.
No one's listening to the podcast while drills are going on.
I mean, why not?
I mean, that's a good point though. Like, so what type of environment are you trying to create during the training environment, or in the training sessions?
Intellectual one.
An intellectual one.
No, I think music. When I'm running a club practice, I'm with my team. Like, music is hit or miss with me because depends on what we're doing, how important our voices are during practice. But if we're in a camp, let's throw some jams on, pause it for demos. Like, let's have some fun. I think that's important for kids to obviously experience in the game.
Right.
Can't all be stressful. Environment
is important for camps, especially youth camps. Music goes a long way, not just for your campers, but for your coaches. If they're dragging it a little bit and it's the third day of a camp that they've been working hard at, like, music goes a long way to pep them up, which will make your camp better.
Yeah.
Overall. So
I think that maybe the last thing we'll bring up is around the coaches part of it. And what are some of the things that we should be thinking as the coach is structuring around maybe what makes a coach successful? Putting our court coaches in the most successful situations. Because if they're not successful, the kids aren't successful, the camp's not successful.
Drill simplicity. Okay. That's my number one thing is like, if I can explain it to you in less than a minute and you can explain it to small children in less than a minute, then we can probably execute that drill appropriately. If it has too many working parts, and the thing that I see the most is complex scoring. It's like you want to lose little kids right away. If they have to pay too much attention on how to score, whatever the intention is now gone. It becomes, I don't know, we're just playing. Right? Well, it's like, well, no, we're really trying to focus on this thing, but I made it too complex. Simplify. It's summer. It's camp, right? There's a way to get what you want in a simple way. Do it. That's my first one. That's all I got right now. Go
Yeah, just create 15 minutes of time to have a coaches meeting before, so that you can let the coaches know of what the big picture plan is here, why we want to start here and we want to get to there. So that you the way like I would run a camp if I'm leading a camp is same model core coaches, but then I can go around and add little things to a drill so the core coach doesn't have to worry too much about little extra sprinkles of progressions. I can go around and handle some unique situations that we might have to deal with based on numbers or kids or whatever. And then I think for club coaches or club camps in particular, if you can get a registration list early and maybe even do your court assignments based on the skill level you kind of know is coming in. So if you've got 12 or 14 kids that you know are solid players, get them on the same court.
Yep.
Let's not get them with the kids who are learning something for the first time, because that's the fastest way for that good kid to probably not want to come back.
Yeah. I think the one thing I always focus on is how do you allow them to look and coach and develop in camp and not ball entry. Because if they're entering balls, they're taking their eye and their lens off of lots of moments of time to deliver key information.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't love coaches being the ones that are chipping or doing whatever. My biggest pet peeve is when a coach will like partner up with a kid.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, she can go into a group of 3 and they're going to be fine, but you need to serve the entire group,
right?
And not just pepper with this one kid for the ball control that we're doing.
Yep.
Something else Frank mentioned there from the coaches meeting explanation piece is we try and write out, like, if you have a lower group, you may need to do this. If you have a higher level group, you might get to this. But giving them something to do, to some adjustment base, and that's all just level of detail that you're willing to put into your camp plan ahead of time.
Yeah.
But can be beneficial if you have lots of courts. Like we operate on 14 to 16 courts, depending on the camp. That's 3 different venues. I can't be everywhere. So we got to give them all the information they need to be as prepared and continue to produce the product that we're trying to as long as we can. But yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Give them some time off too. I mean, if you're talking about a 3-day camp, having them in every single session, I know sometimes it's hard, especially at these larger camps.
Nah, no days.
How do you?
I'm not about that. I'm paying you a good amount of money to be here. You need to be here and work and show up and be a good attitude all day.
Well, I guess you can't be the guy chipping the whole time, or you can't be the guy on the court the whole time. There's other ways.
That's fair.
There's other ways you can utilize those same individuals, but like not burning them out on, like on the same thing the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think variation for me, like when I go to camps, like giving me a little variation is nice. It changes things up a little.
Powers you a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just all about the structure. Like if your structure's good, I think your coaches won't get burned out. When the structure's bad, I think the coaches get burned out. So I think there's some sense in that too.
Well, we're both really lucky that we have our own facilities to be able to plan ahead But like you said, the high school coach who isn't sure, or I think someone that is trying to run a camp from the beginning
Right.
is going to be tough. There's so many other factors that we should probably get into, I guess.
Yeah. And I think what we'll do is we may do a secondary one on some other factors of just the business of getting into a camp and facilitating the courts and trying to ensure, registrations, what to do, what not to do, those types. I think that would be a really interesting one for those that are really starting that process. So
yeah.
The bottom line is go to camp, find the right camp, but go to camp.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, always raise your hand and ask more about what this camp is really supposed to be, because going to the wrong camp can lead to just a really bad experience. And what we want is kids go to the right camp, learn a lot, have a lot of fun, and want to come right back to the same Iowa State or Iowa Select camp.
Or any other camp, but probably ours.
Triple blockhead camp? Is that on the horizon?
Are you dropping that right now?
That'd be sick.
Hey, stay tuned for another episode of Triple Blockheads with a full schedule of our clinic and camp. But I appreciate y'all watching. Until next time, Blockheads.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Triple Blockheads. Make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss an episode.